Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, 1:58 right now. We are waiting on NBC 10 Boston's link. As soon as it starts, I shouldn't say link, but the live stream, as soon as that starts, we will get started here. In the meantime, we put up a cuter version of myself and a younger version, quite frankly. But we are waiting. So as soon as it goes live, we will go live. In the meantime, hope everyone's catching up on the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case. Last two videos were on Kelsey Fitzsimmons, something that we have to pay attention to, see what happens with her bail and bond. See if she gets released from prison, back into the comfort of her home on house arrest. So we'll see if that happens. Let me just take a quick look at what's going on in court. See if it's started yet. Not yet. I'll show you what I see. Get rid of the baby version of myself and pull up the hearing. So this is what I see right now. Courtroom 25. That's what we're waiting for. So when they go live, we will go live. I'll keep refreshing the page, see if they actually get the courtroom in there. You're not going to see a fan or anything, but maybe you'll see a seal. All right, so we're still waiting on that. Anyway, Juan Garza, Can't Wait BC. A bit behind, but did you decide Arizona for the holiday? That's the question. Should we go to Arizona for the holiday? I know that we were discussing that at the last trial. We'll see. We still have some time. Anything can happen. I mean, anything can happen. Maybe put out some more polls. We'll see what the people say. But last time, Phoenix beat out Florida, Miami. And so we'll see if we end up there. Sarah Stiles, looking forward to this. Brian Walshe was recently stabbed while in jail. Yes, that is true from the reports that I've seen. Brian Walshe was attacked in jail. And he was, but it was superficial wounds. It was a stabbing, but it was superficial, and he's been released from the hospital, as far as I know. So maybe we'll see him. Maybe we'll see what injuries he does have. Maybe yet to see. As far as we know, trial still scheduled for October, about a month away. So let's see what we got now in court. This is what we have there right now.
Court's now in session. You may be seated.
Can we have Mr. Johnson brought in, please?
And again, this stream is courtesy.
Starting today with the Commonwealth versus Miles King, indictment 2021-0320. Mr. King is represented by Attorney Rosemary Capicio. Bianca Ciancio, indictment 2022-0265. Ms. Ciancio is represented by Attorney Joe Cataldo. Giovanni De Los Santos, indictment 2022-0267. Mr. De Los Santos is represented by Attorney Joe Krowski Jr. Sean Johnson, indictment 2022-0268. Mr. Johnson is represented by Attorney Rosemary Capicio. And Commonwealth versus Brian Walshe, indictment 2023-0091. Mr. Walshe is represented by Attorney Larry Tipton and Attorney Kelly Porges. Counsel for the Commonwealth is ADA Lisa Beatty, and is Mr. Blaine with you?
Well, good afternoon, Your Honor. Lisa Beatty for the Commonwealth. I'm present for the first.
Great. And Judge Rosemary speaking on behalf of Mr. Johnson and Mr. King. I'm also standing in for Joe Krowski Jr., who's on trial in front of Judge Dupuy down in Fall River. And I believe that Joe Cataldo's client was excused, and I indicated that if he could not make it, I would stand in for him as well.
All right, and I think Mr. Tipton indicated that he had some issue today.
Happy to stand in for Mr. Tipton as well.
Do you think he was going to be on Zoom?
Oh, okay.
Mr. Cataldo's walking in,
Okay.
but I thought that either Mr. Dixon or Ms. Torres was going to answer.
And everybody should be familiar with that
I'm
courtroom.
happy to stand in and report, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Beatty, where did things stand?
Your Honor, I can report to the court that we have completed our review and we are in continued conversation with the U.S. Attorney's Office. I recognize that that's not a lot of information to provide to the court, but that's the extent of the information that I have for today.
Have you come to the conclusion that certain information supplied with confidential information should be turned over in these cases?
All I have to say is that we are in conversation with the U.S. Attorney's Office as a result of our review.
All right, well, your review is the threshold for having conversations. So if you're having conversations, it must be that you have made a determination that information needs to be turned over. What am I missing? There's no hide the ball here. If you think that certain information should be turned over, you would have conversations with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and maybe you would have to go to the court if the U.S. Attorney's Office doesn't acquiesce.
Because of the order, I'm reluctant to comment further in open court and at this stage. And so, on the advice of counsel at this point in time, that's the statement that I feel comfortable giving. In no way am I implying to the court that I will refuse to provide further information at any point in time, just for today's purposes. That's what I feel comfortable disclosing to the court.
I don't recall any provision.
And there's nothing I can do about the volume. I'm sorry.
That would bar you
As loud as it can go.
whether you think anything containing the confidential materials should be disclosed. Maybe I missed it, and I didn't go back for purposes of this hearing to review, but you were authorized to do the review, but I don't think you were barred from sharing whether you think certain information, not what the information was, but that there existed confidential materials, certain information that should be turned over in certain cases. You read the report differently, the federal order differently?
So there's a series of orders, and I'm just trying to be cautious. If you want to give me a second call, I can consult with our counsel. But I guess my question to the court also is depending on, how fully we answer that question at this point in time, I'm trying to figure out what the next steps are for this court's purposes.
Right,
And-
if you answer the question, we reviewed the documents, and there was nothing contained in the documents that should be turned over, that's one response, and that's one response that this court will have in terms of scheduling. But if your response is there are certain things that should be turned over, that's our assessment, then under the federal order, you have to go to various places to get authorization. If you're doing that, defense counsel would have an interest in seeking to join that effort to liberate the documents for disclosure, and so that's why your initial assessment, which I don't think is covered by the confidentiality order, protective order issued by Judge Casper, the most recent iteration that liberalized it and allowed you to do this evaluation, I don't think it covers that threshold question of yes or no, not the substance. So I'm happy to put it out for a second call. You can take a look. Everybody can take a look at the order. Everybody, subject to the protective order, has those orders now, and you can have a discussion about that. Like,
Judge, I agree with the court in terms of the interpretation. I thought we were here today because the Commonwealth was taking that initial look. That's why we gave.
they did take a look, and that's what Attorney Beatty is saying, that they have taken the look, but at least the threshold question she felt right now, uncomfortable telling us whether it was the Commonwealth's view that certain information should or shouldn't be turned over to the defense. I haven't gone back to look at the order. You folks should. You can actually compare interpretations if you want to have a discussion, and then I'll see you again. Second call.
Thank you.
Well, that was exciting.
We're on to number 5, Cornwall versus Tatiana Cosme, conducted 2021-014, scheduled for an initial probation surrender. Probation is represented by P.O. Rachel Boyce.
I think they're going to a different matter now.
Counsel, Madam Officer, if you could identify.
So from what I gathered, they're still talking about getting the federal information, the communications that Michael Proctor had with respect to all these other criminal defendants. And remember, they were back and forth about what to do about it. Are they allowed to look at the documents that were turned over in the Karen Reed case for other cases? So that issue was litigated. And recently there was a federal order that came down that said that they are allowed to, at least the state, the Commonwealth is allowed to review those materials. And if there's anything in the materials that have to do with any of the defendants, other criminal defendants, then they would make another motion or something in federal court asking to relieve themselves of the order in order to be able to comply with their obligations, discovery obligations, to turn them over. So I see the stream is still going, but I think it's another case. I really don't think this has anything to do with Brian Walshe or that issue. So, I mean, as soon as they keep the stream up, I'll keep going. But if there's any questions that we have about this or the Kelly Fitzsimmons case, we can take it now that we're on. Let me just see what we have here in the chat, because there's some other issues that you may want to talk about while I'm here. First of all, we got to get the love for the baby brother counsel. Of course, the AI version of baby brother counsel. A lot of love for that from Debbie Stanholm. Jackie. Daryl Hicks, love what I'm seeing. And we haven't seen a trial together, so maybe that's what we need to do. There was another trial that just started today, by the way. Chris Robinson, sorry that went up. Baby brother counsel, welcome back. Bryn, baby brother counsel, love it. Jessica Lee, hey chat. So let me see if there's any questions. I'll take it, and I'll see anything going on with the stream. I know the stream's up, but again, I don't think it has anything to do with the case, but we'll see if anything changes. I'll let you know. Tara Ellis, hello everyone. Even though it may have been a quick hearing today, but we all got together, so we got to hang out a little bit. Brooklyn, good to see you. OG, J-Law, hey, hey. And Minnie Busy was watching on a cruise. Our moderator was here, is still here, to make sure everyone's behaving in the chat, even though it doesn't seem like anything's going on now. I just want to see, it looks like they're arguing about some other case, so see what happens there. Back of Bones, good evening. Diddy, I'm only now learning you use the baby you while waiting, and I love it. OG Law, I do miss the fan. I know that fan was very special. I know it holds a very special place in a lot of your hearts. So Jessica Lee loves Arizona, even though she lives in Georgia. So maybe we will go to Arizona. Tara Ellis, I'm in Arizona. You can do a BC meetup in Arizona. How's that sound, everybody? Maybe we should do a poll about that. Should we do a BC meetup in Arizona? How about that? I know some other stuff with the Karen Reed case about the cell phone. I was going to look at that today. Myron Butterfield is having fan withdrawals. Completely understand. So it was a bunch of different criminal defendants right now. Miles King was one of them, but there's a whole bunch of different defendants that Michael Proctor worked on. And that's why they want to turn over some of those materials, see if they could turn over the materials. Is he in custody or out on bail? I'm assuming you're talking about Brian Walshe. He is in custody, which is why he got hurt. But I did not see Brian Walshe on the hearing. I didn't see Tipton at the hearing as attorneys. But Rosemary stood in for them. And again, I see there's some comments about the volume. There's nothing I can do about the volume in that. That's just the stream that was there. So it was just a quick status conference, apparently, about what the status is of the federal materials. Are they going through them? Are they going to get them? May the force be with you. MA needs an overhaul in justice, honesty, transparency, civil rights. And it's like they do not respect anyone are operating with impunity unlawfully. And we're seeing again with the Kelly Fitzsimmons case what can happen. Little Miss is back here. He says, wow, it's been a while since I've been in the live chat, but I don't see anyone I know. Hi, Brother Counsel. Miss you. I watch, but not live. Still wish you'd join my Discord. Oh, I'm not even sure how to join that Discord, so why don't you let me know? Send me an email. Did you go over Cosgrove's motion for Karen's passwords? Not yet. That's what I wanted to get to today because I got a little bogged down with the Kelly Fitzsimmons stuff, and I was doing some research on that and looking into that. So not yet. Haven't been able to get into that, but I was planning on looking through that today. And there's also some other cases that are piquing my interest. Mrs. McGuire, good afternoon. Chloe's mom, is the hearing over? The hearing is over. It was a very quick hearing. They still have the live stream up, but it doesn't have anything to do with the cases that we have interest in, at least for now. Bryn says, I heard that Diva resigned. That's what I'm hearing also. I heard that news. Kelly Diva resigned. A lot of people went down with the Karen Reed case. A lot of people. Kelly is the next one in the chain. When you have that bad of a memory, when you start creating false memories in your mind, and you're a police officer, that's a problem. Shelly, hi BC, haven't caught a live in a while, but always a catch-up fan. Any ideas on what next trial you'll live stream? The plan at this point is to live stream the Brian Walshe trial, if that does go to trial. It is scheduled for October sometime, like in the beginning of, I think maybe in the middle of October. Let me see if I can find it here quickly. Okay, I have to find it. I don't have it on my schedule. So it is in October sometime, the Brian Walshe case trial. So I think that's going to be the next trial. Plus, there are some holidays coming up for me, which makes things a little bit difficult. Next week, as some of you may know, there's a Jewish holiday. So that's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday. So Monday will be tough because there'll be preparation for the holiday. And there'll be Tuesday, Wednesday will be the holiday. So it's going to be, that's going to be that. And then there's going to be another one after that. And then it's holiday season in the Jewish calendar right now. So it's I think Brian Walshe is the first case after. Oh, Brooklyn says that Walshe is pushed off to second call. That's what Melanie Little says. Okay, so we can hang out here. Look, we still have, look, I can show you the stream is still up. This is the stream right there, except these aren't the cases I think that we're interested in. You want to just listen in? I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with the volume, but that is what's going on right now. So if it goes to Brian Walshe, we'll hang out. It's good to know. Adrienne, hi from Scotland. Did we find out how Brian got stabbed? Nope, not yet. I didn't find out anything. Question from Darcy. Does BC ever work with Brother Solomon? And the answer to that is yes. I worked with Solomon on many, many cases throughout the years that we've been practicing together. Even when he was obviously a lawyer before I was, but even when I was still in law school, I would already start working on his cases, go with him to court, sit down in his trials. Solomon and I had we had a lot of cases together. And if it's not even actually in trial, I'll still help out in other ways, maybe depositions. He'll cover things for me. We officially actually have two separate firms. He works basically mostly out of one firm, and I have my firm, although I guess you can call him technically a partner in my firm also. We definitely work together often. I used to write stuff for him, used to appear on certain things. So it's gotten less over the years. just because we've both been very busy with our own stuff and we haven't had really time to do much things together. But we still occasionally we'll work some files together. And especially when there's a trial. When there's a trial, we love to do trials together if it can work out. Sometimes we have my father counsel, we have brother counsel, we have brother counsel's brother counsel. So we'll have everybody sitting on one counsel table. That's always a lot of fun. And we'll split up. I love to do jury selection. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. So I like to do the jury selection. And I also love to do closing arguments. But, that's always a tough one because Solomon likes to do closing also. At this point, my father counsel, he just kind of sits back and we'll do whatever we leave him to do. So even if it's his cases, if it's his cases, he knows that we can try cases very well. So he just sits back and watches and enjoys. Or if we need him to do a few witnesses, he'll do that. And but if Solomon, myself, and my father are at the counsel table, it's a lot of fun, and we'll split up the work. All of you, BC is my new favorite lawyer to watch live trials with. I love your sense of humor and commentary. I cracked up each time I heard you laughing during Don Edelson's trial. Okay, well, I'm glad for that. And you gotta have your sense of humor in this line of work, because if you take things too seriously, it just gets to you. So you got to have a little bit of a sense of humor in this, and I'm glad you did. And we hope to see you here by the Brian Walshe trial or any other trial we decide to live stream, because we do plan on doing that throughout the next year. So appreciate that, all of you. Some people will just crack up by the fact that you're laughing. I don't give a lot of commentary during the trials. If something peculiar happens, I may explain it. Other than that, I'm just kind of reacting to what's going on in trial, and sometimes it's laughing. And if you find that funny, crack up with me, okay, no problem. Adrian says I've tagged all trial dates on my feed with dates. Okay, so go follow Adrian. Make sure you get all the. Oh, here you go. Okay, October 20th. So I got to put that in my calendar. I thought I did. October 20th, Brian Walshe trial, putting that in right now. Brian Walshe trial, October 20th, probably starting at 9 a.m., if I had to guess. Put on some alerts here. And boom, it's in the calendar now. All right. We are all set for Brian Walshe now. Buckle your seatbelt for the Cosgrove motion. Gives me heartburn. Yeah, I have to take a look at it. I mean, it's just like, when's it going to end? I mean, really, when's it going to end? Just leave her alone already. My gosh. And Karen is here with us. Hello, Karen. Can't say that it's Karen Reed. She probably would have said it's Karen Reed, by the way, tuning into Brother Counsel, but can't say that, can't assume that. Little Miss says, I love to join your family for dinner. You would have a lot of fun. I think a lot of people have a lot of fun at our dinner. Definitely when we were younger growing up. Now it's a little bit different because there's a lot of family and we all have kids, and so it's a little bit of a different feeling, but there would be a lot of debates and going over arguments, things like that. Shelley, BC, do you have a top 5 list? And by the way, if you're joining us now, it appears that we're waiting on the Brian Walshe hearing. So I'll hang out here as long as the stream is going. I'll hang out here and see as soon as they call the Brian Walshe, because I just hope that they work out the volume. I really hope that they do that. BC, do you have a top 5 list of questions for jury selection, and do you remember any crazy answers to your questions? Ooh. Haven't had too many crazy answers. But do I have a top 5 list of questions? I mean, I always have a list of questions. It really depends on the case, what the case is. But there's always a few questions that I ask, a few things that I want to explain to them. For example, I always ask about the burden of proof. The burden of proof in this case is, beyond a reasonable doubt, or the burden of proof in this case is, and most of my work now is, civil work, so it's preponderance of the evidence. I explain that, and then I always ask if that's fair. Do they feel that that's fair? Do you think that that's fair, that the burden of proof is so easy for me if I'm the plaintiff, right? Do you feel that I always like to do this. Do you feel that it's so easy for me to prove my case? that I just have to prove my case by the preponderance of the evidence. Do you feel that that's not fair to the defense? Because all I have to prove my case is by a preponderance of evidence, more likely than not. I hammer this home a lot because I want to show them how low the burden is for me in the civil case. I always like to ask questions about if they think that's fair, or do you think it should be different? I always try to chip away. I always ask about lawyers. I always ask about what are your feelings about lawyers? Actually, one of the I learned this from somebody else, and actually I'll tell you something. I was in a trial where, that I may have said this before, but I was in a trial with, I've never seen this before. I was really sitting back in my seat, just stunned. I was in a trial as I was a younger lawyer, and I was going up against a real seasoned lawyer, real seasoned lawyer, and we were getting to jury selection, and so I asked my questions. I sat down, and what they do is in jury selection, they give you a list of the jurors, the potential jurors, and then they fill the jury seats, right? They call random numbers, but you have their names. So you're able to write down, okay, juror number 26 is John Doe, and that will be the first seat, and juror number 130 is James Doe, or Jane Doe, and you're able to write these things down. So let me just check on the feed for a second. I don't think we're at by Brian Walshe yet. So you get all these lists for jury selection. You get the list of the names, and there's like 12 names that you have to, or 8 names, however many people they call at that time, that you see the names in front of you. But it's hard to memorize them. So I just bring up the paper with them, and I put them in the seats. I have a little chart on my yellow pad, and I put the which seat corresponds to which juror and their name. And then if I want to ask a certain juror a question, I'll look down at my paper and I'll say, John Doe or George, let me ask you your opinions about lawyers. And that's what I'll do. But this other attorney that I was with on this trial, he got up there without any notes, without any papers, and he went through the entire jury pool and knew all their names. He knew all their names. He memorized them within those couple minutes and where they sit. And therefore, when he got up, he was able to talk to them as if he knew them already. And I was so impressed by that. I was so impressed. And I asked him after the trial even, I said, hey, how did you do that? Like, you just get these names a second ago and you have only a couple minutes, and then you're confident enough to get up there and you're not mixing them up. And I was really impressed because it really, if I'd be able to do that, I would. Because I would just be too nervous. I'm going to mess something up and mix somebody's name up. And that's the last thing that you want to do. Call somebody by their wrong name, right? On the jury. That's not how you're going to develop a connection with them. And that's what this person did. He was able to do that. And I was so impressed. And I was like, really, I'd love to know how to do that. Maybe I should learn how to memorize people's names faster. But that was something. There was something else happened. Also, another great trial lawyer that I tried a case against. And one of his first questions was, who here on the jury loves lawyers? And, raise your hand. And there's actually, I remember in this trial, there was one person who raised their hand. And he's like, wow, this is the first time that anybody's raised their hands that they love lawyers. And then, because you want to know what their feelings are of lawyers. Some people just don't trust lawyers. They just don't trust us. And automatically, you're going to start a little bit behind. So I always try to bring out some things like that. I always ask jurors, my last 2 questions are basically these 2 questions. If you feel that you can't hear a witness, will you raise your hand and tell the judge that you cannot hear the witness? Because I want you to hear everything. I want you to see all the evidence and hear all the testimony. And are you going to be too shy to not raise your hand to say to the judge that we can't hear the witness? Will you do that or not? And that I like to do that because doesn't really matter so much what their answers a lot of times. It's more that I'm showing them that I want them to hear all the witnesses. I have nothing to hide. Jurors have to understand that you're believable, that you have credibility, and you're not trying to hide anything from them, that you're transparent. So I always ask them, one of my last 2 questions, if you can hear the juror, if you can hear the witness, if you can't see an exhibit, will you please raise your hand Will you tell me now that you'll raise your hand and ask for the exhibit to be, blown up or something, or ask for the witness to repeat the answer? That's one. And then another question that I always ask is that sometimes in the jury room, when you're deliberating, you may have a question. You may have a question about the law. You may have a question about the jury instructions. You may have a question about a witness. You may have a question about a lot of things. Now, certain things you can figure out yourself by looking through the evidence, but certain things you can't. And I want to know that you're all going to have the courage, even if you're just 1 against 11 or 1 against 8, whatever, and you're going to raise your hand and say, we have to ask the judge. And you're not going to just let everyone to just kind of guess what the law is with respect to something, or if you have a confusion with the jury instructions. I always try to stress this also because I also want them to know that you got to follow the law here. Don't just make up the law and do what you feel is the right thing to do. You got to follow the law. And that means that if you're not sure, not to guess, not to take a poll of what they think the law is in the jury room, but to come out to the judge, write a letter, and ask to come out. That's also always a question that I ask. There's another question that I ask always. Is there anything, I may have mentioned this before also, is there anything that I haven't asked about you that you think I should know? Because you can't cover everything. And some people have certain experiences, life experiences, whatever it is, and that may affect the way that they're able to look at the evidence in this case. And some people know it, and they have something deep down inside them that you just haven't asked them that question. So you ask the entire jury. I ask this question to everybody. Do you have something about you, something about your past, something about your life experiences that if you were me, you would like to know that? And I always ask that question also. So there's a few different questions, and also it gets very specific about what the case is also, the details of the case. So, okay, that's a long-winded answer. Hope I didn't put anybody to sleep. But we're still waiting on the Brian Walshe hearing to start, so we'll continue to hang out with you if there's questions. And Karen again says, I was so excited to see you coming up on live, to see a new video from you. Appreciate that, Karen. Can you go through Cosgrove with your brother Solomon? I want to see his outrage and incredulousness. I know I got to get my brother Solomon back on. He's just been incredibly busy and traveling a lot. So I haven't been able to do a Sunday show with him, but we're going to get him back. Maybe that will be it. Maybe we'll talk about Kelsey Fitzsimmons, because that case, I mean, what happened in that case, again, like I've said in my videos, is just sickening. I think that's the word we should be using for it. So, yeah. Darcy, my opinion that Walsh is guilty. I think a lot of people would agree with you there. But I always got to wait for the evidence, right? Chloe's mom, I can't believe Cosgrove wants to go after Karen after a $2 million taxpayer bill. I mean, can you believe it? It's supposed to be an election year also, right? I mean, like, it's really not helping your cause by continuing to go after Karen Reed. May the force be with you, giving us all the inside hockey. I feel privileged. Yeah, there is. Oh, hockey. Yeah, so I did play hockey last night, actually. That was my first game in the Sunday night league, and it was a great game. We won. A lot of fun. Hell Point, how difficult is it to establish an effective counsel on appeal? Very, very difficult. Okay, unless you're talking about a conflict of interest, which is why Charlie Adelson very well may get a new trial. Let me just see what's going on here. Brian Walshe yet, so we'll still wait there. But aside from a conflict of interest problem, it's very difficult to get a reversal on ineffective assistance of counsel. So I don't see that happening so quickly in Don Adelson's case. But Charlie Adelson actually has a better shot because of Dan Rashbaum's conflict of interest. That's going to be, he has much better, I think he has a better shot than Donna in terms of ineffective assistance of counsel. Hi, peeps. Break the ice with jurors. Ask them, do they like hockey? Well, I'll tell you, if and again, I haven't had a trial since I started Brother Counsel. All the trials that I had coming up were all settled last minute, and I was not able to try any cases, although I definitely still want to try cases. But there's no jury trials that they want to take me to trial with. I don't know why. But if I would have to go to trial now, I would have to ask them, has anybody heard of Brother Counsel? Because if you're a fan of Brother Counsel, then it's not fair. You have to get a fair jury. So I would ask that question. I'd proactively ask that question in case the defense knows about Brother Counsel and they would want to know what's going, maybe they would ask the question. So I would want to get in front of that and ask that. But we did have our first, there's no other questions except Karen asked about is it true Brian Walshe was stabbed in jail, or was it rumor? From what I've seen, it was true from the reports that I've seen, and but it was superficial. So it was just superficial, and he's okay. So he'll be able to stand trial, and that's not going to be a reason apparently to adjourn the trial. And if you want to see again what's going on, this is what's going on right now in the courtroom. And I hope they fix the audio. I hope they fix the audio for Brian Walshe's. Amber Jones, does Karen have to give her passwords? Well, if she can't remember them. Exactly. I mean, if you're under court order to do something, you got to do it. Otherwise, you'll be held in contempt. If she can't remember it, then she can't remember it. Nothing to do there. Sorry. So maybe she'll have to have an affidavit that she doesn't remember it. Who knows? Maybe there's some security questions that she'd have to go through. I don't know. But we'll see if we get there. Jane says, oh, no, imagine asking them, do you know who I am? No, so I wouldn't ask them, like, do you know who I am? Like, that's just too haughty. So I would just say, have you ever heard of Brother Counsel? Have you ever heard of that as a YouTube channel? Just leave it at that. And if they say no, then I don't have to go any further. I don't have to say, by the way, I'm a host of a Brother Counsel Studios, and we have a YouTube channel that you should join. I wouldn't do that. Maybe after the trial, I would tell the jurors to join, to subscribe and watch Brother Counsel, but I wouldn't do that. I would just ask them, do you know Brother Counsel? Have you heard of him? And they may say yes, and then they'll know. So then I'll say, okay, well, we can't have you on the jury. And if you are on the jury, don't say no just because you want to sit on one of my trials. Okay, you can still sit and watch, but don't lie. Okay. I think like a lot of people, Joy says, dear Lord, I cannot remember half of my passwords. I have to put them in my notes on my iPad. Yeah, which is why they have like these password services now, or these apps that will automatically remember all your passwords. Hell point, if you ask them about Brother Counsel, may cause them to go looking. Yeah, but we trust that jurors are going to listen to the judge's instructions. Let's see. We might be going back. Let me see. Okay, so I think we're going back now. So let's see what's happening now. So it looks like we're starting with a sidebar. All right, starting with a sidebar. Well, let's see, Jane. Jane says, hey all, I'm a new subscriber and a mod for lots of channels if you need one. All right, thank you, Jane. We'll keep that in mind. Yeah. Okay, well, anyway, until there's more questions, we can talk more about the hockey game last night. So we had our first hockey game for the Sunday night season, and it just seems like this league keeps getting better and better and better. And it's just more difficult for me as I get older and older and older, And but we have a pretty decent team. I'm on the second line which is probably where I belong. You know, the first line are these guys that are amazing. And we just come in there to try to hold down the fort. And if we score, then okay, great. You know, but it's just a ton of fun. It's great exercise. And we started. So last night was the first game. We won. Okay, let's see what we have going on now.
Are you there? Mr. Tipton, are you there? Mr. Tipton, are you there? Hang on 1 second. There you go.
You still muted, Mr. Tipton.
Mr. Tipton, can you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, we cannot hear you. But we can see you, and apparently you can hear me. Ms. Beatty just asked for a sidebar. We went to the sidebar only to discuss enough whether it should be held at the sidebar, and I decided that there was no reason to have it at the sidebar. So that's all that happened at the sidebar. You missed almost nothing. So let's hear. Oh, there you go. Now I can hear you. That's great. So let's try an open court. What's going on?
And certainly I offer to convey to Mr. Tipton
Yeah.
anything that happened at the sidebar, and I will have a conversation with him after court today.
Great.
As and legal defense counsel will request it as well.
Okay.
So before we recessed, the court had posed that there was sort of a binary point at this point in these proceedings, that there was one where the Commonwealth informed the court that they had materials to produce, and one where that they wished to produce, and one where the Commonwealth conveyed to the court that they did not find any materials to which to produce. And I'm telling you right now that I am not representing to the court the second, that we do not have any materials to report. I'm explaining to the court that we are in communication.
I think there was a double negative.
There was.
You are not representing to the court that you do not have information to turn over.
Yes.
So, having done the review, it's worth it for you to go to other locations to try to get information, try to convey the need for you to turn over information that you believe to be discoverable in Rule 14.
We are continuing to have conversations and negotiations with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and what steps to take from there, I don't know at this point in time, but we're working with our counsel at this point in time. And I'm happy to come back to court at any time that's convenient for the court, as well as for defense counsel. We're especially mindful not only of the date in the order, but also of the Walsh trial.
So we have a return and destroy date of October 21, 2025, and Walsh is supposed to be tried starting around that time. We didn't know it.
Yes.
So, when would you like to be back?
Could I just speak very briefly?
Yes.
I'm just very concerned that like 25 days into this 60-day destruction order, and I'm concerned that if at some point, this board needs to make an order, we want to make sure that I just want to make sure that we're giving the Commonwealth enough time to do what it has to do. We can't do what happened initially is, the day before, making phone calls saying this stuff is getting destroyed tomorrow. So I'm just concerned that we're 25 days in, we're 35 days away from the destruction order. And as far as I can tell, we're not very far advanced as to where we were 25 days ago.
Well, 25 days ago, the Commonwealth had reviewed the materials. It just got the order with Casper, and it's now reviewed the materials as it relates to all the cases that are currently before me. And it's made a determination that it needs to go to the U.S. Attorney's Office or the federal court to get authorization to make a disclosure. I think we have had a lot of progress in 25 days, and
To the extent that they can't get that information, Judge, I want some sort of heads up that the federal court said no, or they're not going to do anything. I don't want to be in a situation where we're waiting another 2 weeks and then the answer is no. And now we're behind the 8 ball again. That's what I'm trying to avoid,
all
Judge.
right, well, in 2 weeks, we will not be behind the 8 ball. In 2 weeks, we we'll have more information, and I'm happy to visit this in 2 weeks. That still will be plenty of time for the destruction order, and before October, the destruction order, and give us 3+ weeks before a destruction order for you or others to go to the federal court to seek additional remedies. So, unless somebody thinks so, I should put this on for a different time frame, I will put it on for 2 weeks from now.
I'll just judge it by the,
Yeah.
I would just weigh in and ask to be put on a shorter leash, a week stay.
I mean, what's a reasonable schedule? If you've made the determinations that you've made, you've got to get things on file in the federal court, or have the discussions have to be expedited, particularly given the schedule for Walsh.
Either one of those is fine. Obviously, a week is less time to accomplish things than 2 weeks. So if Mr. Tiffin wants to come back on his own in 1 week, that's fine also. I appreciate he has a different schedule perhaps than other people. It's really, I need support in council.
Well, much depends on how much can be accomplished in a week. I mean, have
And
the
not-
discussions with you as attorneys office done?
Yes.
Okay. And you think that they're likely to bear fruit in the next week? Do you have a meeting schedule?
I have found that,
Deadlines matter?
and that I believe them to be acting, as quickly as they are able to respond to our inquiries.
Okay.
But, 5 days is 5 days and 10 days is 10 days. Everybody has lots of different things that they're dealing with.
Sure.
And there's unlimited, it's not unlimited time.
What is the Walsh problem?
The 20th.
The 20th. Okay. Let's put this on for the 29th.
I can't do the 29th. I have an all-day of engineering and stuff that involves, Bob Scheck's office and
Okay. Can someone stand in for Ms. Capiccio on that day?
I started trial on the 29th, Your Honor.
You're on trial on the 29th. Okay.
Could we do the 25th or 26th?
We could do the 25th, but only in the morning. Do it at noon.
can't do noon. I have to be in final pretrial for case that I'm starting.
What time is your final pretrial?
2 o'clock.
9 o'clock? Okay, your final pretrial is where?
7,
So we could do noon.
yes. I have to drop down.
Noon on the 25th?
I could do noon at
25th is Thursday.
And, Mr. Johnson, behave, Judge.
Sure.
And on behalf of Mrs. Del Santos and Attorney Crosby, we would want this conversation.
Okay.
May Ms. Gianncio be excused, please.
Yes. Ms. Gianncio will be excused. And on the 20th will be 25th at noon.
I thought it was at 9 o'clock, but that can suck it too.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was at 9 o'clock, that can suck it too.
No, we said noon, and you definitely gave the subject question. Easy. Easy. We're gonna be here for 20 minutes. Right?
I know, and 45 minutes now, and we still don't have any answers, so.
All right. Remind me that you have to be in Suffolk to call you right into, call you right in.
I appreciate that, Judge. And Judge, we do have some individual requests for Mr. Johnson, that I think we addressed somewhat in court last time we were here. Calls for, one of them was calls looking for Rule 17 for the victim's, medical records. We don't have any objection to that, Judge. I can't imagine Attorney Crosby has an objection to it, and I know that
No objection.
we don't have any objection to the victim's medical records. They come in, they're gonna get them.
It was already filed. I was wanted to ask that that motion be heard, on the next date. I have to give notice to the hospital.
Notice to the hospital?
Yes, it's for Boston Medical Center records. I scanned them, I've been trying to scan them to grand jury. I've had an ex of kin sign the forms and ask me for a court order for the records.
privilege holder is deceased. Prepare an order and, then
I believe I attached them to my file.
do you know what the filing docket number is? I just want to make sure we definitely have it. If we don't have it,
I can, email it.
yeah, Ms. Irwin can, get in touch with you if we can't find it, and, I'll get it signed.
And Judge, the other issue, last time we were here, I indicated there was some late discovery in Mr. Johnson's case. I did send a very detailed
And
letter.
this just has to do with Mr. Johnson's case,
We did have a conversation on Friday.
not Brian Walsh.
She's still working through that late discovery. I think we're gonna probably have an agreement on what's late, which would include 14 or 15 search warrants and a bunch of other things that seem like it's very similar to the King case. So we will be filing a motion requesting the LJJ.
All right, see when we get it. Okay.
Thank you.
These matters were all continued to September 25th at noon. Process for Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was riveting. Absolutely riveting. I think now we're really officially done. So basically what I gathered again from that was that they did begin to review the materials and they're not done. But she's not representing to the court that there is nothing there to be seen and nothing that could be helpful for Brian Walsh. So she's going to continue to review it, and they're going to come back September 25th at 12 p.m. I think it was 12 p.m. Again, hopefully the audio will be a little bit better then. But that's when they're going to be coming back, which I also have a hearing at 10:35, but that should be done by then. So I should be able to cover that one also. So that's all that happened. I mean, they're still going through the materials. If they do go through the materials and they find something, then they're going to have to file some sort of motion in the federal court, speak to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and see if they can turn them over. So we'll take it from there. But that was what happened today. All right, Hell Point. When is Murdoch appeal? I'm not sure when the Murdoch appeal is. Probably going to take a little while. But as I've said before, maybe you heard it on this channel already before, but he does deserve a new trial. Whether you believe he's innocent or guilty, the jury tampering, based on the law, and we've gone through all the law and researched it and showed you why, based on what happened in his case, the jury tampering, he does deserve a new trial. Now, the result most likely could be the same, but that is, he is entitled under the law to a new trial. So, you know, that's just the fact of the matter. Let me see what else we have here. Jessica Lee, are all these hearings always televised, or is it just because of the interest in the Walsh case? Yeah, there is ways to get access to the Zoom. I mean, I think they do Zoom. They do have Zoom, but in most hearings. But since it's Brian Walsh, it's a little bit more televised than others. Yeah, I think that maybe because it was I don't know what happened, why the audio is so bad, they didn't get to set up beforehand or something. So, let's see. Dar says maybe Brian Walsh isn't today. No, it was today. I mean, it's really all those cases together. They're all kind of lumped together. The only issue is that I think Brian Walsh is the next trial, which is the next case, which is going to trial the fastest. So they got to really figure out what they're doing with the Brian Walsh case, because they're not going to want to push it off. That's the last thing that courts want to do is push off trials. But if they go through the material and say there's nothing here, then that's it. That's the end of it. If they go through the material and say, ooh, there's something here, well, then they have to turn it over to the defense, and they have to go through whatever motions they need to do in federal court in order to turn it over to the defense. And then if the defense gets it and they say, ooh, this is going to require us to do some additional discovery or something, then that's when the trial may get pushed off. So we're still waiting to see what happens. Jane, how do lawyers do this? Turning up to venues for maybe showing up to venues for 5 minutes to be postponed again. Happens all the time. It happens all the time, which is why when Zoom got started, it was amazing. It was such a relief for many lawyers, and that's why we are so happy that the Zoom is continuing, because a lot of times you're wasting hours of time just to sit in court for hours, and then when you actually get called, when your case gets called, you're there for 2 minutes. Happened all the time. I remember in the beginning, before COVID, it was so frustrating. You'd get there and sit in court for an hour. Your case would be called. It would take about a minute and a half to get done with your issue, and then you're done. So you have to travel all the way to court, park, all that stuff. And yeah, it's a big waste of time, waste of resources. Darcy wants to know, will Wendy Adelson get arrested soon? We're all waiting. I mean, we're all kind of sitting here waiting for that to happen. You know, everyone just, if I was Wendy, I would not be sleeping so well. And we did a whole video on that. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised, but it's a little bit more sensitive with Wendy. Because she has that immunity agreement. So it's going to be a little bit more sensitive there. All right. Well, I still have to go through this motion in Karen Reed's case. And I don't want to do it fresh right here with all of you for the first time I'm reading it through. So I'm going to have to read through it and then take it apart and then maybe do a video before the end of the day today. But also it happens to be that I'm in charge of making dinner tonight. So that's also on my schedule because one of my kids specifically asked for a certain dinner that I am amazing at making. So in case you think that my skills end in law, I'm quite the chef. And I should maybe do a video showing you how I'm making dinner tonight because I can really throw together some really great dinner. Just telling you. So we got a special request from my daughter yesterday to have my dinner tonight, and therefore I've got to go home and make dinner, which I'm happy to do. But first I got to go through this motion. Be kind, Tiger. You missed my questions. Which question? Oh, here. Not all states televise, right? That's true. And can you FOIA records in all states? You can always FOIA, yeah. You can try to FOIA. You can go down that rabbit hole. Look at that. I live outside of Austin. Wendy gave up her rental here last week. Moving with rich boyfriend to Colorado, rumor says. Okay, interesting. Jane says, law, hockey, and dinners. You're some man for one man. Man, that's just the beginning of it. I didn't even tell you what else I do when I get home. I mean, there's a lot other things that I take care of also at home or outside of the home. Some other stuff that I do, community work and whatever. But we don't have to get into that. Let's just leave it at law, hockey, and dinners. But yeah, I learned how to do that, when I was growing up. So we had 9 kids in the family, and everyone had to do whatever they could. So I always wanted to learn more so that I can help out more in the family. And the truth is, to tell you, the first thing, this is a law channel, but I'm talking about food now. The first thing that I learned how to make was chocolate chip cookies. Okay, now you may ask, why chocolate chip cookies? Well, it's not because I like how the chocolate chip cookies tasted when they came out of the oven. It was for the cookie dough. As everybody knows, that's the real reason that you make chocolate chip cookies. And so that's why I wanted to learn how to make that, and I did learn how to make it, and I did make it. And I made it a lot of times when no one was looking and ate a lot of cookie dough. And it probably wasn't healthy, but it tasted really good. But that was the beginning of my career in the kitchen. And then I learned how to make other stuff, different chicken dishes and meat dishes. So there was a lot to learn how to. I also learned how to clean up because when you have 9 kids in the family, that's what I grew up with. I have 8 siblings. There's a lot of work to be handed around. So I learned how to do a lot of different work. Learned how to do the laundry. Learned how to I'm a mad sweeper. If you know how to sweep, there's a whole method how to sweep your kitchen. And I've learned how to do that. I'm amazing at it. So that's thanks to my mom because she taught me how to do it. You know how to go. You have to go firm with the broom, but not too firm because you're going to break it if you go too firm. So you got to really know how to do it. It's not simple, in case you think it is. So, and yeah, it is dinner tonight. Besides, Be Kind Tiger says, who doesn't like talking about food? I didn't really eat today, to be honest with you. I had some coffee, had some water. I did have some oatmeal, so I should call it that. But all this talk about food is making me hungry. That's never good. Because then I'm not going to be able to concentrate on the Karen Reed motion because I'm going to be thinking about dinner tonight. Leslie wants to know, so what are you making for dinner that you make so well? Okay, fine. I'll tell you. Well, tonight there was a specific request for my meatballs. I happen to make mean meatballs, amazing meatballs. And I really shouldn't share with you the recipe because I should sell it one day and make a lot of money. But in my house, that's my meatballs. And my daughter appreciates that, and she realizes the expertise in it. May the force be with you. Your kids need to learn how to cook alongside you. I love knowing how to cook for my parents. I know a lot of men, maybe the cliche, they like to do the grilling. They like to, hang over the grill and grill some hot dogs and hamburgers and steaks and whatever it is. But no, we go into the kitchen. That's what I've learned how to do. Barbecue is easy stuff. But anyway, okay, we're getting too much from the food. So that's going to be it for now. I got to get working on this Karen Reed motion, I think. Looks like that's what people want to hear about. Looks like there's a lot of citations to some case law, and I still have to make it home to make dinner. So we're going to cut it for today. Really short hearing on Brian Walshe. Basically, come back in another 2 weeks and see where we are. That's basically what happened today. So still appreciate everybody hanging out with me today. And remember, you got to watch the Kelsey Fitzsimmons videos. That's going to be a very important case to watch. So you should all be watching it. Definitely what happened at the last hearing was sickening and not right. So, you should get your eyes on that case, and we should more law tubers should be covering it. So maybe they will. Maybe this will be, Melanie was obviously covering it, and I heard about it from some people on Twitter, and then I watched the Melanie stuff. So, we should have our eyes on that case as well. So, all right, everyone, thank you for joining. We will see you, as always, next time.